The storm rolled in hard, pounding the streets of Denver with sheets of cold rain. Inside apartment 6B, Lucas Wren checked the clock again. 11:52 p.m. His hands trembled, not from the cold, but from desperation. He stared at the packet of documents on the coffee table, his late sister's custody file, the only thing standing between him and losing his 5-year-old niece, Maddie. The clause was absurd, a vestige of outdated laws in the state's adoption system, stable family environment, preferably with a spouse. Without a wife, the judge had warned, Maddie would be placed in foster care come morning. Lucas ran a hand through his wet hair, numb with hopelessness. He had tried everything, old flames, friends, even acquaintances. But no one wanted to marry by midnight. No one wanted to step into a storm for a man half broken by grief and clinging to a little girl who still asked when her mommy was coming home. A soft knock shattered the silence. He froze. 11:59. The door creaked open. A woman stood there, dripping wet, curls clinging to her face. Her eyes searched his. "Hi," she said softly. "I heard you needed a wife." Lucas blinked. "Rachel?" "Rachel Kwan. Former EMT. Former neighbor. Former friend. The one who used to bring over soup when his sister was sick. The one he hadn't spoken to in over a year, since the day he'd pushed everyone away after the accident. He stared, stunned. "How did you?" "Does it matter?" she asked gently, holding up a soggy folder. "I brought my ID. Let's make this legal." The courthouse clerk on the phone walked them through the paperwork over speaker. Digital signatures. Witness confirmation. It was surreal, mechanical, like checking a box on grief. At 12:04 a.m., the email confirmation came in. "Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Wren." Lucas stared at the screen, then at Rachel. "Why?" he whispered. She looked at him for a long moment. "Because Maddie deserves to stay with someone who loves her. And because you mattered to me once. Maybe still do." The following morning, the judge raised an eyebrow at the rushed marriage but ultimately nodded. "You now meet the family requirement. Case approved. Maddie stays with you." Lucas didn't cry in the courtroom. But later, when Maddie curled into his lap and whispered, "I don't want to go anywhere else," the tears came hard and fast. For days after, things felt unreal. He slept on the couch. Rachel took the guest room. They shared awkward breakfasts, Maddie acting as the bridge between them. She colored drawings that said, "Mommy Rachel," in bright crayon. Rachel smiled but never corrected her. On the fourth day, Lucas found Rachel in the kitchen, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug. "I didn't thank you properly," he said. "You don't have to." "I do," he insisted. "You walked back into a mess. You had no reason to." Rachel looked out the window, her voice quiet. "When my dad left us, I remember my mom begging someone, anyone, to help. No one did. I swore if I ever had the chance to stand in the gap for someone, I would." Lucas's voice cracked. "You saved me." She turned to him, eyes shining. "No, Lucas. I just reminded you that people still care." Days turned to weeks. Rachel's presence brought light back into the dim apartment. She taught Maddie to braid her hair, baked muffins that filled the place with warmth, and nudged Lucas back into being human again, one shared laugh, one kind glance at a time. One evening, as they watched Maddie sleep, Lucas whispered, "I've been thinking. When this is over, when it's safe, you don't have to stay. I mean, we can annul it, obviously. I'll be okay." Rachel smiled faintly. "You might be. But Maddie would miss me." He nodded slowly. "And what about you?" "I'd miss you both." Lucas swallowed. "Would you consider staying, for real?" Rachel looked at him, a long, searching look. Only if you want me here as more than just a solution to a problem. I want you here, he said, voice trembling. Not out of desperation. Out of gratitude. Out of admiration. Out of love that's grown in the quiet moments. I just didn't realize it until now. She stepped closer, rested her hand in his. Then maybe this strange, broken beginning was just what we needed. Months passed. What began as a rushed rescue turned into something tender, deliberate. They renewed their vows in the spring, this time with Maddie throwing petals and giggling all the way down the aisle. Friends asked them how they met. They'd laugh and say, "It's complicated." But at night, after stories were read and lights dimmed, Lucas would hold Rachel close and whisper, "You knocked on my door at 11:59, and changed everything." In a world that so often feels cold and calculated, sometimes the most beautiful beginnings are the ones that don't make sense, until they do. All it takes is one act of selflessness. One hand reaching out. One person showing up when the clock is almost out. Misch. Because love, real love, doesn't always arrive early. Sometimes, it shows up right on time.